All right.
All right, let's give me
So,
one shot.
yeah, let's get this. This is not going to take too long. As soon as I get this window minimized. It is the Night of the Eye. It occurs once every year and a half, where the moods of Kryn align in an event known as the Night of the Eye. This will happen on one of these fateful nights shortly before the campaign begins.
Okay.
Ahead of you rises the Barb, a jagged, half ruined spire of gray stone. Many who aspire to join the mages of high sorcery have come here to prove their magical proficiency. The Barb is usually nothing more than a ruin. Its construction predates the Cataclysm. But tonight, on the Night of the Eye, when Kryn's three moons align, the ruin is alive with magic once more. You can see that soft light shines from the archway leading into the structure. For your first time in this campaign, I ask you, what do you do, if anything?
Are there other people around, or like, am I the only one there? You said many
You,
people come there, but I'm not sure if you mean like there are a lot of people there now.
it's a special institution towards for the mages of high sorcery, and you would expect that there are probably other folks gathering here to take the same test that you are.
Yeah, I mean like in my immediate vicinity though. Do I see a bunch of people, or am I just there?
Pretty much just you.
Okay.
The
Um.
road is well illuminated, but the night is dark, and you don't see a lot of activity as you approach the structure on sort of a hillside outside a nearby town.
Okay. Well, I'll sort of tentatively walk towards the arch, see if I can see anything a little clearer inside or whatnot.
As you get a bit closer, you see that the door has a crossbar bracing that holds a slat of glass. And inside, you see a moderately well lit room and even a couple of figures moving throughout.
Okay. Well, well, what do the figures look like? Can I make them out or?
Yeah. In fact, you do recognize there is an individual wearing ceremonial robes. They're a bit more elaborate than the robes you've seen on other members, established members of the Mages of High Sorcery. This probably indicates something of their rank. Go ahead and make a history check.
Okay.
With a
12.
12, you know that the Barb is a very old building. And the magic that I've described that comes alive actually reactivates many rooms of the tower that serve as portals or gateways into the parts of it that are governed by old magic. So, although it is ruinous here, there are probably many doorways inside that will take you further into the rooms. And you know that the caretaker is a red robed mage that roughly matches the description of who you see in front of you, named Rovina.
Okay. Initially, when you said you know that it is an old building, I thought, well, no shit, it's ruined.
Yeah,
I thought that's where you were gonna stop, and like I
that
didn't
was
go
the
along.
DC for
Okay.
9, and it got a little bit better when you got up to 12.
That took a 9. Okay, I'll walk in and I don't know, see if she says anything to me. If not, I'll talk to her.
When you enter the room, you see that she stops what apparently is some busy work that she's attending to at a counter, and she looks up, gives you a not a discourteous or snobbish nod, but one that seems to beckon you closer. And she pulls a book beside her on the workplace that she has in front of her, opens it up, and asks you for your name.
Arthonos Istvan.
She takes a moment, flipping through to the last couple of pages, then flipping back towards the front. And then a little bit warmer of a smile goes across her lips, and she says, Arthanos, I do have you here. Are you familiar with everything that's expected of you this evening?
I have an idea, but perhaps you could expand on that a bit, explain.
She gestures around her workspace, and you see that this is a circular room, much like you'd expect the base of a spire to be. But different than what you had noticed on the outside, there are probably a dozen doors here. These archways are very similar to the one that you came in through, but they weren't visible from your outside approach. She sweeps her hand across the quote-unquote corners of the circle and gestures towards the doors. And she says, "Tonight is your initiation test. Should you succeed, we will evaluate that your apprenticeship is completed. And once it is complete, we will hand you instructions for how to complete the next leg of your journey and to finalize your indoctrination. Once everything is said and done, you will be a mage of high sorcery, should you pass tonight's event and those that come. Each of these doors hosts a different trial, a different challenge, and you have the entirety of the night to complete them. Should you fail, you will be reevaluated, but please understand the gravity of your time here. Most that fail never receive a second chance."
I've heard as much. Is there perhaps anything I should know going into the rooms, or is that left up to me?
She nods and says, "The best advice and the only advice I give to anyone. This is a trial, and the thing we are most interested in testing and evaluating is your aptitude and understanding of magic. As such, the trial before you might have many solutions. Some of them might be more direct. Some of them might be absent any magical skill at all. But I assure you, everything you'll see in front of you has a solution that can be solved." And she sort of wiggles her fingers in the air to indicate some sort of spell casting.
Okay. In that case, I suppose I should get started, and then I'm gonna sort of like nervously shuffle away from her a little bit, and then turn around and go into, I guess, the first door, which I suppose is there any difference between the doors at all, like visibly, or do they all look the same?
In fact, identical.
Okay. Then I guess it doesn't matter which one I go into first. Let's go first one counterclockwise, if it matters for you.
Excellent. Once you've picked a door, she simply mentions, waves her fan towards it, and you just hear an audible click coming from it.
Okay. Well, I will. Is there anything strange about the door that I see? Or does it just look like a door? Like, it doesn't look like there's any traps or anything like that?
It just looks like a door. You can make an investigation check.
Okay.
With a 15, as you are appropriately nervous or over attentive to details, any sort of clues as you can go in, you very faintly see, almost scratched on the interior, the threshold piece, as you approach the door, a key scrawled into the wood, and beneath it, a hand, balled like a fist, with its knuckles exposed.
These are scratched into it, like into the wood of the door.
Yeah, sort of, not in the door itself, but in the threshold.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it's very faint and not as obvious if you weren't looking so keenly for it.
Okay. Well, I'll open the door and walk through it, assuming I don't immediately see danger.
Yes. What you do immediately see, as you open the door, it turns into a wide rotunda. There is black stone for the flooring and the walls, and they are covered with elaborate runes. The interior seems to be empty, save for a single pedestal at the room's center. Atop the pedestal is an ornate key that balances on its tip. As you step through, the door vanishes behind you. On the opposite side of the room, an identical closed door is forged out of a quick streak of light that coalesces into what appears to be the exit.
Okay. So first thing is I'll do is I'm gonna go examine the whole light door thing. And is there anything I notice about it other than it's light?
Well, as you set off across the room to examine the door on the far side of the room, you immediately come into contact with an invisible plane of force.
Okay.
You don't hit it hard, but it does stop you abruptly as you sort of kick out at it and kind of
Like I walked into
brace
a
your
pane of
chest
glass.
into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just,
Okay.
we get hummingbirds here in Florida, and oh man, they are fragile creatures. They are not designed to live. Not with how much
Okay.
glass people put in their houses.
There's just a lot of crashing into it. Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like it's. I gotta try hitting it with my fist, because the key was the fist. So you know what? Before I do that, maybe just I don't know, examine it a bit more closely, feel it, palm of my hand, etc.
So
Uh,
you reach out and you encounter the plane of force again. Make a perception check.
okay. Oh, good. Blind.
You swear this plane of force is not exactly where it was just a moment ago. Like you get a little bit more reach than you did before.
Okay. I'm gonna try pushing on it then.
You try to push on it. Make a strength check.
Oh boy, that's a save. Wait. How do you do just a strength check? Oh, okay. Click on strength.
All right. 15, that's a good roll. But as you brace yourself and really start to push with both hands, then transition to sliding into it with your shoulder, it doesn't budge. You can't detect that
Okay.
you're making any movement on it at all.
All right. Let's try punching it.
Make an attack roll. Unarmed.
I mean, I think it's just. Are you
Snap.
proficient in attack
You are
rolls by default?
with
Yeah.
with
Okay.
your unarmed.
So that's a 4.
Well, ow! You reach out with your hand, basically try to align your hips and rotate. You make solid contact, and your hand doesn't appreciate it.
Okay. Fantastic. Um, I'll try to touch it with Mage Hand. See if that does anything, like push through it with Mage
Now
Hand.
I gotta ask: do you put Mage Hand in front of the plane of force, or do you try to put it somewhere else, behind it even?
Oh, good, good point. All right. Maybe how far away is the key?
So the key is about 50 feet
50.
from the wall. The room itself is 100 feet in diameter. The key would sit at its center.
Okay, and there's nothing of particular note in the room aside from this pedestal with the key that I can see.
The walls are engraved with runes, but
Okay.
it's hard to say. Your initial cast, as you glance over them, they don't seem to be something you're familiar with.
Okay. Well, let's say I'm gonna try to push with the Mage Hand from my side of the plane of force. See what happens.
Because your mage hand is so much weaker than your physical body,
Yeah.
it's about as effective as you expect. It sort of
Okay.
reaches out, flattens itself against it. It doesn't seem to have any other effect.
Okay. Well, I'll try putting it on the inside then, and maybe hitting from the inside.
All right. You attempt to conjure it how far past the initial contact point with the plane of force?
Oh, let's say 5 feet.
Okay. You attempt to put the hand about 5 feet past the initial contact point of the plane of force, giving yourself a little bit of leeway. And as you try to bring the hand back towards you to push against this from the other side, it encounters another plane of force, separate and different than the one you're encountering. It appears to be about 5 feet away.
Okay. Fuck. Um, what happens if I try to walk backwards into the plane of force? Do I
You
still feel it?
you spin around, walk backwards, and feel it catch you.
Okay. All right. Well, let's try casting Mage Hand 2 feet in front of the plane of force.
You cast it about 2 feet in front of the plane of force, and it appears on the other side. What does your mage hand look like, by the way?
Uh, ghostly green hand.
A ghostly green hand. And it seems to slide forward uncontested until it encounters the plane of force that you've been catching yourself on. As you push against it, it doesn't seem to give.
So is it correct to say that seems to be about 5 feet of space between this plane of force and the second plane of force?
Correct.
Okay. Try, summoning it 7.5 feet and so on, and up until 30 feet, and test it each time. Is there a plane of force every 5 feet?
It almost seems like it. But what's interesting, as you do this your second time, there is a
Yeah.
moment where there is nothing. The hand seems to press against a plane of force, and then it pushes through. And almost instinctively, you try to reach back out, and it's almost though as something has moved into its place and once again occupied that space. It's like there's a barrier there that has moved.
So you mean like the hand did go through it?
It's like the hand pressed up against a solid plane, but
Yeah.
then the plane moved away, and the hand was able to get through. But when you push the hand back, it seems as though the plane has returned.
Okay. So does it feel like the plane is rotating at all if I touch the one next to me? Or anything like that?
Make another perception check. I'll give you advantage this time.
Okay.
So, a little bit more specific with what you're looking for and kind of on the lookout. In fact, it's subtle. But as you place your fingertips against it, you can just very faintly feel a slight motion coming to a stop. Almost exactly like this plane of force is moving, but stops just as you touch it.
Okay. Then it's not as though I can really fucking mark it and see if it's moving. Does it feel like it's moving in one particular direction or just like all over?
You wait a bit longer, and at first, for the first 10, 15 seconds, it's completely still, and then you feel it shift beneath your fingers, almost like it's sliding to the right. It's hard to say. Plane of force doesn't exert friction the same way that
Okay.
a sliding force or a sliding object would.
All right. Hmm. Well, I don't exactly want to shove my fucking fist through it. So, going back to what happened when I got the mage hand through that one time, um, was it moving especially fast at the time? The mage hand?
The mage hand wasn't moving particularly quickly.
Okay.
It seems like the mage hand caught it in some sort of rhythm where it was already moving or just beginning to move.
Okay, so if I try to, I'll wait for the plane to start moving, then I will try to push through again.
Excellent. You wait for it to start moving and you try to push through, and you can feel it just faintly skimming your fingertips. And nothing seems to change. It seems like it's just barring your path. But just as you're about to give up on this particular endeavor, it's as though the end of this section of invisible plane reaches your hand. And in fact, there is just the briefest opening where you can push through. Almost immediately after you step through, You can kind of reach behind you and feel that a different piece or something has shifted in place behind you. But you are 5 feet closer to the center.
Okay, so it's like a rotating wall, and it's just, I got through a section of it. All right. So without having touched the bit in front of me, like, did it seem to me that there was like some rhythm to the movement and the stop, or was it when I touched it, it seemed like it stopped?
Make an investigation check.
Okay.
So at this point, you're kind of playing around with the mechanics of the area around you. And you start to notice there isn't a rhythm. And in fact, it doesn't seem, as you start to branch out and stop just testing, a direct path in front of you, but start actually checking to your left and right. And it seems like you're in a labyrinth. But what makes this labyrinth particularly challenging isn't that it's invisible, because you could keep your hand on a wall and follow it, eventually you'd get out. It's that the pieces are shifting, and you can't tell. But as you start to maneuver through this maze, and it takes the better part of an hour, you start to piece together about which section opens up in which direction. Does it open up in front of you, or to the right, or to the left, clockwise, counterclockwise? And eventually, through a few snakes here and there, you do get closer and closer to the center. Would you like to continue to do so?
Sure, but let's see. I don't know. I'm gonna try to look through the senses of my owl there, because it's on my shoulder, totally, and see if it can see anything. Just given that it is, a familiar as opposed to my eyes, I imagine it won't be different. But it's got keen hearing and sight.
Your owl doesn't seem to see anything differently than you do.
No, okay.
But there might be other solutions along that vein of thinking.
If only I had detect magic. Feel like that might come in handy here.
Yeah, it's a good one.
But alas, I did not choose it. Instead, took fucking floating disc. God knows why. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to use in here. I guess I'm gonna continue trying. Or wait, how close am I to the center now?
You're about halfway.
Halfway. So I'm gonna try to mage hand or from here, can I see anything strange on the pedestal, like written on it, or is it just the key there?
Appears to be just the key.
All right. Well, I'm a grab the key with the mage hand.
You do so. You reach out with the mage hand, and it seems to, just as your hand makes contact with it, whatever surreal force is keeping it balanced on end like that dissipates, and it just falls into your mage hand's grip, and you can pull it. In fact, you can pull it about 4 feet and 11 inches towards you before it too is able to collide with another invisible plane of force.
If I try to press the key into the plane of force, what happens?
Like you're trying to put it into a keyhole?
Sort of, yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Okay. What happens if I drop the key on the ground?
It makes a muted sound as it clangs across the granite floor.
Okay. And nothing else. All right.
And nothing else.
All right. You know what? Fuck it. I'll try to firebolt the firebolt the wall here.
Excellent.
That it reflects and fucking burns.
Just half your face. You cast out with firebolt. The rocket of flame shoots out just a few feet before it collides with the plane of force. And this is the first time you get a good visual of exactly what you're looking at as the flames hit the side of the plane of force and sort of ripple out along it, giving you sort of a three-dimensional visual. And you see exactly what you've kind of surmised at this point. It's a shifting wall.
Okay. Did I see where the opening was?
At this time, no. But what you do notice is that as it snakes out, this appears to be a larger broken section that you've stumbled into. Whereas most of where you've been, there's only been 5 feet, sort of 5-foot coils bringing you closer to the center, and you have to move left and right in them.
Mm-hmm.
This one seems to have a path that leads not only to the center, presumably, but also towards the exit.
Okay. And do I think that's an illusion of some sort?
And you expect that this whole thing is an illusion for sure. But you don't think that it's wrong. You think that if you take
Okay.
one path to the left, it probably would take you closer to the center. And if you take the path to the right, it'll probably take you closer towards the exit.
Okay, so if I continue to firebolt, is it feasible that that would be a faster way to find the holes? Do I believe that that would be a faster way to find the holes
You don't
than
think
healing?
that it's worse.
Okay.
It's at this point you've kind of have a good mental understanding of the way that things are moving, that it's not going to be faster, but it certainly helps keep you honest as you move closer.
Okay. So anyway, I started blasting.
Yeah.
Um,
Danny
yeah.
DeVito greased up, started blasting.
Coming out of a couch.
Conjure
Yeah.
DeVito, 3rd level spell.
Hey, you know what? Let's just for the sake of it try to stab the thing. I assume nothing happens.
In fact, no, except you probably have to spend a little time carrying to your blade after this.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna keep working my way through, I suppose.
Another hour passes. But are you heading towards the center or towards the exit?
Uh, well, I mean, I need to get the key, presumably, so towards the center.
You continue to move towards the center, and
Yeah.
about 2 hours total before you emerge into a slightly rounder open space. You're relieved for it because you thought you might have had another coil or two to get through to get to this key. But as you step through here, it seems to be a more open space, and it's just a few quick steps to snatch the key up off the ground.
Okay. Do I notice anything special with the key now that I'm closer to it?
Now that you're closer to it, it's an ornate gold key.
Okay. Well, do I feel that there is a plane of force opposite the one I just came through?
Interestingly enough, with the key in your hand, as you start to reach out and feel around for another plane of force, you do not.
Okay. I'm going to cautiously walk towards the that door of light. Let's see what's going on.
You step towards the door of light, and as you get closer, nothing impedes your path. You
Okay.
reach the opposite side, and there is a very obvious keyhole.
I'm gonna try to stick the try to fill the hole.
It
With the key.
offers no resistance, and you are able to turn the lock and open the door. Emerging
Okay.
back into the original room, you see Ravina at the desk. She gives you a not disingenuous, but just not entirely warm smile either as you enter. And she rights herself, beckons you to come into the room. As the door
I
shuts
do.
behind you, there's
Yep.
no sign of anything left behind. It closes, and you appear to be back on the normal side of the world.
Okay. If she doesn't have anything, like if she's not saying anything, wait, did she like beckon me closer, as in like come over here, or just like
Yes.
come through the door? Okay.
Much.
Then I'll go up and see her.
As you approach, she says, "Congratulations. And not terrible timing. I'm assuming you didn't have any of the magical aids that would bring you here sooner."
Apparently not. Perhaps if I'd had more access to more spell books, I'd have been better prepared, but I did not.
She nods and says, "Nonetheless, that is likely a trial that requires some amount of foresight or some amount of clever thinking to pass." She
I feel like
gestures.
she's shit talking me.
Just make an insight check.
Okay. Oh, where the fuck is insight? I can't spell. There we go.
Yeah, she might be.
Okay.
At first it's like maybe she's trying to say, well, you must have done pretty well to figure out a way to do it without magic. But
Oh,
then
okay.
the more you think about it, you're trying to think, is she saying that I was too dumb to pick my spells properly?
Fucking bitch. Uh,
But
okay.
as you stand before her, she starts to shuffle through before you more documents. You see her write your name down a few times. She shuffles some things around, writes it down again, opens up a large ledger, checks off a few boxes, looks like she signs the time and the date, and puts a brief description. Before finally she pulls out a book. And this one does not look to have any use behind it. It looks new, pristine. And she hands it to you, along with a couple of scrolls.
Okay.
Sorry,
I'll take them.
an ornate scroll, a single scroll, and a spell book. As you get it into your hands, it's emblazoned with the symbol of the mages of the high sorcery.
Okay.
She says, "The book is yours. It can be a powerful spell book. You can fill it with your discoveries. Whichever finds use for you. But I think you'll find that I have included something that will perhaps aid you in your journey." And as you open it up to take a look, you do see the spell book has a couple of spells already transcribed. You
Okay.
see a spell of knock and a spell of detect magic.
Oh, son of a bitch. If I had just knocked on the fucking things, they would have opened, wouldn't they? Anyway.
If you had cast
Um,
knock on it, for sure.
okay.
So not that bad.
Yeah. Um, okay. Well, thank you. That is very kind. I did not expect to get any sort of gift uh, doing this trial, but I suppose what time was it when I got here, give or take,
You probably would have gotten there in
originally?
the evening as you had been requested, sometime around 7 or 8 p.m.
7 or 8. If I've only got until the end of the night, I suppose I should get on with it.
She smiles and says, "You are finished here." As she hands you the scroll, she says, "This is meant for Wyhan." I might not be saying that right. We might change the pronunciation of that later.
How's it spelled?
Wyhan.
I would think Wyan, but yeah. Okay. Anyway, um,
There's a.
uh, done
Uh,
here. I thought I had to do all of the trials, had to complete all of the trials.
every trial, no, just one.
Oh,
And this one concludes your apprenticeship. For the next step, you will need to report to a black-robed mage named Wyan. They reside in the city of Kalaman, near Vogler.
all right. Well, I'll just that. Um,
This scroll is for their eyes only, and it's not to be opened under any circumstances.
I understand.
And she shows a little bit more emotion than she has up to this point. She looks a little regretful, and she pulls out a second scroll. This one is of a more personal nature, and she hands it to you.
Okay.
You'll have to choose what to do with it on your own.
Is this for someone in particular?
It's for you. And in fact, as you look at the binding on it, it appears to be addressed to you.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna sort of give her a bit of a shifty eye look because this is starting to feel questionable. But whatever. Fucking farm shitter. What do I know? Well, again, thank you for the gift. I expected more to.
I expected more.
Yeah, stop myself as I say that. I expected to. I, never mind. Thank you very much. And she's red robed, you said?
She is.
Okay.
As you ready yourself and make your way back to your lodgings for the evening, you get a chance to take a look at the letter that is addressed to you.
Yep, gonna have a look at it.
You open it up and very quickly realize that your good friend Eastman appears to have passed, and you have been summoned to attend his funeral, which is where the campaign will begin.
Okay.
Congratulations, you have completed your apprenticeship. You are now ready for the real trial, which you might die.
Oh boy. I I had forgotten that was a different trial, and I was like, okay, what if I get trapped in here and I just gotta fucking starve to death? Um,
I
God damn it.
thought about like increasing the stakes, like make everything take way longer, and then if you don't complete it in time, you just don't come back. Right? Like you have to wait till
Yeah,
the next day of Eye of the Night, Night of the Eye,
just
and
fucking year and a half of my life.
like the next time somebody opens the fucking door, just a fucking rolling pile of bones comes out. Would have
Son
been
of a bitch.
perfectly fine.
Fucking knock. Who takes knock?
I I don't really agree with the way that they structured this portion of it, because you're supposed to be level 1 at this point. I think knock even a level 1 spell.
I think so.
Is it?
Hold
Oh,
on,
maybe I'm wrong.
let's see. It might be. It might not be.
I always thought it was a second level.
Uh, no, yeah, it's not level 1. I don't think it's level 2 either, though. I was looking at level 2 spells earlier. Oh, no, it is a level 2 spell. Couldn't
So,
use it until level 3. What the fuck?
so that being said, the runes on the wall
Yeah.
were essentially spell scrolls.
Oh,
So you could have used them to actually cast spells that you didn't have access to.
I
Um,
see.
but they also say, oh well, they can figure out the shifting rotation of the walls with detect magic, and I'm like, but detect magic specifically says you can't see anything that's invisible. I don't know about if I agree with that.
Yeah.
So
Like that's what I was thinking, like detect magic and like, oh, okay, maybe I can see the fucking, I don't know, the magic. But yeah, then I looked it up and can't use it.
yeah, fairy fire would have been a good choice. I don't know if wizards get that.
I don't think
Yeah,
so. Is that level 1? If that's level 1, no, wizards do not get it.
but you rolled well in your investigation, well higher than you needed to. You're able to get the key, and now you can die at a later date, which is
Okay.
what matters most.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's usually what life is, right? Just trying to not die today.
Now there's actually a lot of truth there.
Maybe die tomorrow.
I should probably look at my daily activities and see if I'm actually encouraging my body to live to the next one.
Yeah, don't think I am. Ate a bunch of pizza last night and fucking fell asleep.
Fair
Not, it's
enough.
not helpful. But yeah, okay, that's not bad. I did have a spell book already, or is that supposed to be this spell book that I was given?
You can either have two spell books, or you can make it so this is your spell book, or
Okay.
whatever.
And what were the spells in there again?
It has detect magic and knock.
Detect magic and knock. All right. Well, I'm gonna add those because I don't actually need to know spells as a wizard. We'll say this is another spell book, and the other one I got from my parents that aren't good enough wizards
Fair enough.
to be wizards or something.
Yep. So you
Knock.
have done it. You have advanced to level 2. Obviously, I told everyone to make their character sheets be ready to be up to level 3,
Yeah.
maybe even 4. Honestly, depending on how fast you guys
Oh, really?
move.
Okay.
It's so fast. The leveling is very abrupt. I think that
Doesn't the campaign only go up to level 11?
10 or 11. Yeah.
Okay.
It.
So is it a fairly short campaign? Yami was asking earlier, like how many sessions it's supposed to be, and I was like, I have no fucking idea.
I don't know. That I haven't really figured out. I
Okay.
do feel like it's got a little bit less filler content because there's an active threat,
Okay.
and
That
it
makes
seems
sense.
like there's less like, yes, the storm giants are a real problem right now, but let's go get griffins in this other town.
Yeah,
Right? They're
fair
so
enough.
cute when they're small.
And they're small.
Yeah.
Nobody tells you. Grow up.
Nobody tells you that like griffins are fucking massacring horses on the reg. Like their
Yeah.
favorite fucking treat is horses.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, if Dragon's Dogma's any indication, then you gotta feed them goblins.
If
That's how you catch them.
This is like my whole thing with killer whales. Like killer whales, by all accounts, should be hunting humans,
Yep.
right? Griffins should be just snatching fucking little Timmies off the street, right?
That's
Like
where Timmy ended up.
there should be a lookout tower in every hamlet, just keeping their eyes on the horizon, looking for griffin swoops.
Yeah. Was they getting people abducted, taken up to the top of a tower where the fuck they're roosting?
Yeah, they might
Yeah, I
rest
agree.
in the fucking lookout tower. God damn it!
Yeah. Just take it over. Then what are you gonna do? There's a griffin in a fucking small ass tower. How do you fight that thing? You can't get up there. Shoot some arrows at it, and then it doesn't give a fuck because its skin is like 4 feet thick.
It's a shitty day.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, you can
Yeah.
get back to your path of degeneracy. I'll see you next time.
Okay. See you, Tony.
Cheerio.
Sounds good. Yeah.